What's going on, everyone? It's Alex back again in the garage, doing a little install tonight on the G37. As I was stating earlier in previous videos, I have a PCV Delete kit that I'm going to be installing on my car. I want to explain to you guys what that's for, what it'll help achieve, and why it's a modification that I personally recommend. This particular kit that I picked up is from EPS Tuning. They're a great company. They specialize a lot in the VQ Nissan community. This kit basically makes this install completely plug and play. Everything comes with the kit that you'll need, and the kit's very affordable, not too expensive. It's around $150. It's a great little modification you can do to make your engine a little bit more efficient and just make sure everything is functioning properly. So here's a little preview of the kit. You got some new little filters there, some block-off plugs, new tubing, some spacers, and the fittings that you're going to need to install everything. So for those of you that may not know, PCV stands for positive crankcase ventilation. So basically pressure builds up in your crankcase during a normal operation. So basically a one-way valve and tubing is connected to your valve cover that releases that air and circulates it back into your intake system. So in theory, this is a great idea. However, along with that air comes oil. And this is bad for two main reasons. The first reason is, over time, this oil will accumulate in your intake tube, your throttle body, your intake manifold, and could cause problems. It could cause a loss of function in the throttle bodies, issues with sensors, anything of that nature. So the second reason why it's sometimes good to delete this system is if your car is tuned, you're maybe running an aggressive tune, lots of power, whatever it may be, the oil that is drawn in through the intake system can actually lower the octane rating of your fuel. Your ECU is expecting a certain octane rating of fuel, and with that little bit of oil coming into contact with the fuel, it's changing that value. All right, so let's get this started. As you can see, the first thing you have to do is take the engine cover off. That's just 5 bolts. So now you can start removing the actual PCV system. That includes these hoses here that are connected to the intake manifold. It also includes this little resonator that has a tube on the bottom. It goes down here and connects to the valve cover. This hose connects down to this valve cover there. And then similar on the other side, this whole resonator is removed. This hose goes down to the valve cover, and then the other hose as well is tucked down there into the valve cover. Alright, so all the hoses are disconnected. So now you're able to see the PCV valve down here. This is the driver's side, and this is the PCV valve on the passenger side. So the valves are threaded, so you can throw a socket on them and pop them out. I believe they're around 23 millimeter. I don't have a 23 millimeter socket, but a 24 millimeter fits on there enough to loosen them. They're not super tight, so we can go ahead and remove them now. So since the new kit is going to be routed underneath the fuel line over to about here, that's where the filter is going to sit, we actually need to raise up the bracket for the fuel line so that it clears the new hose. But luckily EPS includes all that, new bolt, longer bolt, a couple spacers for the brackets, washers, everything you need to do that. That way this stuff will be elevated enough to not touch the new hoses. So now we can start with the easy part and plugging up the holes that we're not going to use. These 2 plugs are for your intake. If you have the stock style intake, which I do, you'll have these. If not, you'll have one similar to these. These 2 are for the front of the intake manifold, and these 2 are going to be for the holes on the valve covers that won't be used. So now that all the holes that aren't going to be used are blocked off, we can now install the lower part of the new 90-degree elbows, the Army Navy fittings, and these are installed where the old PCV valves are, one on each valve cover. The valve cover is actually made of plastic, so you don't want to over tighten them, crack anything, because then it would just make your job a whole lot harder. I found that they actually don't get much tighter than finger tight. You may want to just put a wrench on there and just snug it a little bit, but that's it. Don't overdo it. Alright, so you can now go ahead and put your 90-degree elbows onto the pieces that you just threaded into the valve cover. I find that it's easiest to put this tubing on here first, and to try and do it after because it's such a tight fit and you don't want to bend anything or break anything on this 90-degree elbow. You won't need to clamp or anything once you put it on because of the barbs and how tight of a fit it is. Again, this doesn't need to be super tight. Once it's on there and situated underneath the fuel line, it's not really going to go anywhere. And now we can go ahead and put the filter on this end. And now we can go ahead and do the same on the other side. Now you can zip tie the new setup here to your factory wiring harness just to keep everything tucked nice and out of the way. Alright, so everything's installed. Everything fits real nice. So obviously you can either leave your engine cover off or you can reinstall it here. It actually fits perfectly on there. Doesn't get hung up at all. So you can hide that if you want to. The fit and finish on this kit is awesome. Everything that you need comes with the kit. You don't need to buy anything else, and that's one of the things I love about this EPS kit. It's pretty much plug and play, just disconnecting some hoses and you're set. So now you can enjoy the peace of mind that your intake isn't gonna be getting clogged up with oily residue. And thanks again to EPS for providing a great kit. Go check them out. I'll put the link to their website down below. Hope you enjoyed the install video. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for the support so far. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Stay up to date on what I'll be putting out. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the video. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you. All right, everyone. I will see you next time.